Hey everyone, it's Kelsey here, and today I've got a mini album to share with you. I did a little bit of prep work on this beforehand. As you can see, I printed out all the photos and cut them down to size, and I pulled out a bunch of transparencies or overlays that I had. A lot of them were from crate paper from various collections. One was like a Valentine's collection. I think I had like a regular collection and then a Christmas one, but some of the Christmas ones you can actually use pretty easily, even on a non-Christmas or winter layout. And then I just arranged them all in the order that I vaguely kind of knew that I wanted them in. This album is pictures of my husband and I. September was our 5th anniversary, and October was our anniversary of 7 years together. So I just thought it was, just a fun chance to pull out some of the photos of us together and make a mini album out of them. And I also pulled a ton of supplies from my stash, a lot of Dear Lizzie and crate paper and Maggie Holmes. I really tried to dig deep into my stash so I can get some stuff used up. But I've also got some current collections as well. And I decided to use these overlays just because I don't really feel like I know how to use them otherwise. I don't really put them over photos. I don't put them on layouts, so I just thought this was a good way to dig a bunch out of my stash and use them as the base of my pages. And I got this, the overall album idea from, it was on Maggie Holmes' website, on her blog, and it documented a pregnancy and some pregnancy photos, but obviously I can't do that, so this was my take on it. It was just kind of a lovey-dovey album. And if there's one thing that I've learned from making layouts of my husband and I, or mini albums of the two of us, it is that I need to take more pictures of the two of us. It's just really bad how few photos of the two of us that I have. It's really sad, and I want to get more photos taken, some like professional or semi-professional photos taken really soon, but I also just need to take more photos of us together. I didn't even take a picture of us on our 5th anniversary. I mean, we pretty much just stayed at home and we cooked a nice meal, but I didn't even get a photo of the nice meal, the two of us, even one of us. Like, it just practically went undocumented. So, that is my advice for you today, is go take a photo of you and your spouse or you and your partner, because I need more. And you probably need more too, because I know it's hard to get behind the camera. I know it is. So that's my advice, though, is because when you go to do projects like this, you want to have plenty of photos to choose from, photos that you really like. But anyway, I've kind of chatted through all of this, but mostly a lot of this just entails digging through my stash to find the stuff that I want. That's why I try to pull so much stuff out, so that I know I've got plenty of options. I'm not actually going deep into my stash. I'm just going into the stash that's on my desk, if that makes sense. I really like those little clips, those little flag clips from Studio Calico, but I have a ton of them, and I still haven't used them all. So, yeah, it's a problem. It's a scrapbook stash problem. Also, the other thing that I wanted to do in this album was use a lot of tags, and I didn't end up using as many as I wanted. I actually started out wanting to have this be only tags, but that just wasn't going to work for my photos. So, and as you can see here, this is my scratch piece where I'm just testing everything out, especially stamps that I haven't used at all or haven't used very much, or if I want to test out like that gold color. It actually shows up pretty good on the video here, but the gold is definitely more subtle than I wish it was. I really like the gold color, but I just wish it was a little more it would stand out a little bit more on colors. It's great on white, but I don't know. Oh, and another thing to just say about those overlays is that some of them have like a protective film over them, so you have to kind of watch for that and peel off that protective film. Now, not all of mine had a protective film on them, and you can kind of bend the corner and see if it's got one. And I actually bent the corners too much trying to find transparent, the protective film that wasn't there. So just watch that. because I know it's it's hard to tell if the film if it looks really scratched, it's probably got a film over it, but that's not always the case. So just something to be aware of. One thing that I also would mention about this layout or this mini album is that the size of photos and the size of album that I chose were really small. So it was kind of hard to layer and do embellishments, just because I did want the transparency in the background to show up, but I also wanted to be able to layer and add all sorts of like cute embellishments and like the wood veneer, and so I would maybe choose a larger album size next time. I've done album size, mini albums of various sizes, so it's just kind of a personal preference or whatever is going to work for you. And here's where I decided to go off the transparency track. The transparency that I had chosen just wasn't quite big enough for this photo. It's a pretty large photo, and I cropped it down as much as I possibly could in Photoshop, but obviously I didn't want to cut part of us off. And so I cut down a 6x6 piece of paper, and then I'm just going to kind of make a tag out of it. Or maybe this isn't the one that I do that with. But anyway, that's what I did with this one. Just because I wanted the photo to fit, and I didn't want to cut off like part of our ears. So, and in the end, that doesn't bother me. I mean, I started going with the transparencies, but I still have transparent elements on almost all of the pages. And that's that open book chipboard. And I really loved this arrow, but I just couldn't really make it work and couldn't make it fit. But I love that whole open book collection. As you guys know, I've used it a lot lately, and I'm not done using it. But the chipboard especially is really, really cute. So I definitely want to emphasize that more. So here's another photo. This is actually I think the last 3 photos are taken within the last year, which goes to show I've been getting a little bit better about taking photos of the two of us, just because I know that I don't have a ton of photos, but I just need to take more photos of the two of us, and nicer photos, really, because a lot of times they're just very casual photos, so I would like to take some slightly nicer photos. And on this one I just felt like it was too small, so I cut a piece of this paper down and then cut it into a little bit of a tag shape, and just mounted my photo and transparency on that. It just felt like it was too small. And and the other reason that I cut it down, I just remember, was because if I was going to punch a hole through it, it's going to go right through my husband's head. So that's kind of a problem. So that's why I ended up mounting it. Not because it was too small, but because it was going to go through his forehead. I pulled out a lot of 3x4 cards just to use as little extra embellishments. Just little like placeholders in the album. I don't know what you would call them, just little something extra to flip through. So I altered a couple of them, and then I almost forgot to put them in the album at the end. But luckily I didn't. And I will have a recap of the whole mini album that will go a little bit slower, so there will be a recap of that, and I'll walk you through any of the things that I changed after I finished filming. Because sometimes I'll go back and add like a little something here or there. And I've been trying to use that gold frame forever. I've pulled that chipboard gold frame out just off and on for like weeks, months maybe. And so finally I used it on this layout, and I used a couple of pop dots to put the photo on either side of the frame. But I just really like the little extra bit that it gives to the photo. Kind of a double frame between that transparency and that chipboard. So now I'm going to layer everything on top of each other the way that I want it to be. So I pulled off that 5 from a chipboard set and that little heart, and I should have done this differently because the title card didn't work out the way I wanted it to. It worked out okay in the end, but yeah, it was mistake after mistake after mistake. So, and I don't know why exactly I left all this hole punching in. because I should have edited it out for you guys, but oh well, I'll just talk through it. This is my normal. I will just line up one card and kind of put it in the middle. I don't measure it or anything, and especially whenever it's just going to be a binder ring, because those are going to kind of be loose and the pages are going to shift a little bit anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they're exactly centered, because they're going to kind of swing around. But yeah, and I found my old hole punch, because I used to have to use my like my Crop-A-Dile hole punch, and it was just insane how I would have to line it up and look at it and get the proper lighting, and so finding my hole punch made it a lot better. So here I've got the Heidi Swap stamp, and I love the handwriting on it, so I decided to just put September 2014, because that's you know, our 5th anniversary is in September. And it didn't stamp properly, so I pulled off another chipboard piece, and it says remember, and then I stamped it again over on the other side, and it still didn't come out perfect. I mean, I don't love the way it came out, but it is what it is. And then here I am trying to see if it's got a protective film over it, and I just couldn't quite tell. And then, yeah, that one, see, you can see it up there. That's what the film kind of looks like. So I just decided to put that on the front cover, just to kind of have that transparent layer tied into the cover of the album. And I will warn you, if you're punching through those transparencies, they're a little bit hard. My hand did hurt a little bit after I used the hole punch. So just something to warn you about. So here I'm just going through and trying to find just little embellishments that might work on a page. Like I said, the pages are really small, so there wasn't a lot of wiggle room, but I did try to just add pieces here and there whenever I could. I feel like the first layer, you go through the album once and you put on what you can, and then you go back through and you add those finishing touches. And I wanted to put this Maggie Holmes ribbon through there, but the hole wasn't quite big enough, and it had an eyelet in it, so I couldn't just make the hole larger. So I will end up using a ribbon, but you'll see what I do later on. There, I've just got a little chipboard piece with hearts on it, and I put it on that 3x4 card. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of out of the screen. It's just kind of, you can't always see what you're doing, and you're so busy working on the album that you're not always looking. And then I remember that I had that tag sitting over there, so I needed to add stuff to it. And then I decided that this one needed some stamping on it. This was a really plain page, so I just decided to add that little Chamel. I don't know, it's like a sparkly washy stamp. That's how I would describe it. And I stamped it in gold to go along with the gold heart and the gold us on there. And I'm trying to look for a spot to put that tag. And I just tried to layer just the elements that you flip through that don't have any writing or pictures on them. I try to flip through those and put them in between the photos and not have two in a row. And here I'm just going to dig out a frame, and I was going to try to use it there, but I ended up putting it on the front, and it says Our Journey. So it kind of says Our Journey recorded on the front. But like I said, I'm going to have another video showing you the whole album, and it goes at a slower pace, and it just explains everything a little bit slower. So if you don't like the sped up video, you can hop on over to that. I'll include a link below in above the comment section, right below that subscribe button down there, so you'll be able to see it there. And that about wraps up this little mini album. So thanks so much, guys, for watching. Make sure and hit that subscribe button in the top left corner if you would, and here are some other videos that I thought you might enjoy. So I will see you guys again really soon with that recap. Have a great day, guys.